Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my guide for Leviathan Extreme, a new encounter in patch 2.2. This fight requires an average item level of at least 80, it drops item level 95 weapons and shields, a bard that can be used for housing or crafting a new barding, and a mirror that can be used to upgrade those same weapons into item level 100. In order to do this, you must have completed the main story of patch 2.2, including Leviathan Hard Mode and having defeated Ifrit Extreme. Leviathan Extreme is a primarily reaction-based fight, and the occasional DPS check. Before you start the fight, notice that your duty list shows your conversion bar. It will start at 100 and you'll need to pay attention to this later. The fight will start with Leviathan just auto-attacking the tank for about 10 seconds. After this, he will go underwater and the fight will begin for real. He will start the fight with Body Slam. With this attack, he will pick either the north or south side of the arena and slam his body into it. This deals damage to anyone too close and pulls everyone towards Leviathan's side of the boat. The only way to see which side he will slam into is to watch the sides of the arena for a giant water spout. Leviathan will pop up from that location and body slam the boat. Additionally, Leviathan will now split into two targets, his head and his tail. Both of them share the same health pool and are considered Leviathan's main health bar. Now the mechanics of the head part are simple. He counters physical damage with about a 500 or 700 damage hit. He is a magic based auto attack. Occasionally does a move called Dread Tide, which is a line AoE in front of his head that reaches to just in front of his tail. Shouldn't hit the off tank though. And Aqua Breath, which does a massive AoE around his head, but it doesn't do a lot of damage as long as you don't have any water resistance down stacks, which we'll talk about a bit later. Magic users should be DPSing the head for the remainder of the fight. The tail has a few differences. For one, it counters magic damage with a 500 to 700 damage hit. Its attacks are ranged, so if the tank runs away, the tail will still shoot spines at him as long as he has enmity. And he also does a large tail sweep that will hit everything in a 180 degree cone in front of the tail, which means melees, yes, you'll probably get hit by it. Hits for about 1500 damage, nothing too bad. You want your physical DPS, including the bard, DPSing the tail. The tail is also considered Leviathan's rear for the sake of monk and dragoon combos, so don't worry about performing your combos on Leviathan. If you have enough gear healing, bards or summoners may be comfortable enough dotting both the head and the tail for faster kills. Additionally, Leviathan himself will now have a few new mechanics he does periodically for the rest of the fight. The first is Tidal Roar, which does about 1500 damage to everyone. Just heal through it, and later in the fight he'll use it twice in a row, so just be prepared. He'll also start casting Water Spout on the healers, which deals about 1000 damage to them and anyone standing right next to them, so be sure to spread out away from the healers. When he comes back with his tail for the first time, two Wave Spine Sagins will spawn. Each of these can be tanked by a DPS and killed. If not killed quickly, they will use Hydro Ball, which will place a circle on the ground that will slow the movement speed of anyone who walks through it. After these two are dead, DPS Leviathan as normal until he becomes untargetable and dives underwater again. He will pick 3 targets when he does this and drop an AoE on them called Grand Fall, which does about 2000 damage and slows movement speed. As his HP gets lower, it will drop multiple balls on the same person, up to 3. Do your best to avoid this while preparing for his next move, Spinning Dive. Spinning Dive will be designated by the same water spouts that designated Body Slam, though this can occur on any side of the boat and travel vertically or horizontally across to the other side. If you are hit by this, it will deal high damage, knock you back slightly, and give you a debuff that reduces water resistance, which stacks. The best way to avoid this is to mark the north, south, and east or west, since you only get 3 of them, of the center circle with waymarks A, B, and C. Standing on A or B is the safest, but that likely won't go as smoothly as I say. But if you're near A and B, you can sidestep it whether it's horizontal or vertical. It's very easy to dodge if you can stay close to those points. You can also use them as reference points to tell people when spinning dives are coming and where to run. For example, if a spinning dive is coming on C side, you can use the blank side and be like, get to D, or something like that, if you're communicating with voice comms, that is. No matter what though, you'll probably still just have to whip your camera around to find out where he's coming from and dodge it accordingly. Now I want to go into Spinning Dive a little bit more. There appears to be a slight pattern with Spinning Dive. For example, if his body's currently on the north side of the arena and then he goes underwater to do Spinning Dive, he'll never come from the south side going north. If he's going to go vertically, he'll go from the north side to the south side. And then once he's charged over to the south side, he'll come back from the south side to the north side. So you'll never have a case where he goes underwater and then flanks you from behind. However, when it comes to the sides going horizontally, at least initially, I've not seen any pattern to determine which side he's going to come from. But if you have, please leave it in the comments below. I can say that if he does go horizontally from east to west, it seems he will only go horizontally west to east again, but just be prepared to whip your camera around. That's really the bottom line. So, anyway, he will do spinning dive twice and then body slam again. In case anyone's wondering, since I was just talking about patterns, body slam does not seem to have a pattern. At the start of our kill and all of our other attempts and kills, he was going back and forth at the start from north to south, south to north, but later half of the fight went south like 3-4 times in a row, so I don't think there's really a pattern to it. After he body slams, a new ad will spawn. It's called a Wave-Tooth Sagin. The tail tank can usually run over and grab him as long as he has enough enmity on the tail, which he should. This guy can be stunned, and it says my silence is fully resisted. Although somebody told me you can silence one of his moves, I'm just saying it says fully resisted for me. He has a few attacks, including Ruin, which is, the same summoner ability, and a small damaging cone in front of him called Darkness. His two deadliest attacks are Dread Wash and Dread Storm. Dread Wash will send everyone on the boat into a hysteria if it finishes casting, which will just cause you to run around like a chicken without a head. You won't be able to control your character at all for about 10 seconds. Dread Storm places a large circle on the ground that will do the same thing if you step on the circle by accident. None of this has to happen. It's best to try and stun lock him while you kill him. Now, you can either use a paladin for this and have them, do the same old shield bash thing like you were doing in turn 5. Or you can have a warrior and a DPS team up and try to stun him at specific times to try and ensure that he doesn't get either of these moves off. What we did is we had the warrior stun him at about 75-80%, and then when he started casting Dread Wash, the monk would then use his stun to stun that, and then we just kill him before he did Dread Storm at all. Now, it seems that Dread Wash can be stunned, but if he starts casting Dread Storm, it cannot be stunned. Just as a safety precaution, pull him towards the edge of the arena, so that way, whoever has hate on him will only only half of the circle will appear on the arena if he does finish casting Dread Storm. Makes it much easier to dodge in the long run. But anyway, all DPS need to kill this guy really, really fast. If you don't, in the later phases, it could become a problem. After killing this ad and DPSing Leviathan a bit more, he will do 2 more spinning dives and a body slam. After he becomes targetable again, 4 gyre spumes will spawn. Now, these won't do any damage to anybody except when they explode, and that deals about 1,000 damage to everybody, so don't try and kill multiple of them at the same time. Focus them down one at a time. However, remember that conversion bar you have in your duty list? These will begin to drain that of its conversion rating. Your goal is to kill the spumes as quickly as possible. They will likely drain it to 0 a few times, which is fine because it's not going to stay permanently at 0. It'll keep regenerating. They just need to die quickly enough to give the converter enough time to regenerate, at least to 30 points, which is the requirement in order to survive Tidal Wave. Throughout these spumes being up and killed, at some point Leviathan will do another double spinning dive plus body slam. It's worth noting that up to this point, he cannot do a horizontal dive, but starting with this set of dives, he can. So be ready to dodge them horizontally as well as vertically. After he body slams, you have about 20 or 30 seconds before the elemental converter on the south side of the arena goes live. Leviathan will then do a single spinning dive, then tidal wave, then body slam the arena. You have to hit the converter before he starts talking for tidal wave. So be prepared to potentially take a hit just to make sure that you stand near it when he does spinning dive. After hitting the converter, everyone should group up in the center and AoE heal after tidal wave. This tidal wave will also break the railings on the side of the boat, which means you can now fall off and be permanently removed from the fight. So be careful of spinning dives and body slams. Now the second phase of this fight is almost identical to the first, with some minor differences. He will now do 2 tidal roars back to back. There are no railings on the side of the boat. He will cast Grand Fall a few more times when he's transitioning into a spinning dive, and there are new spumes that we will get to a little bit later. He'll start with the 2 small ads again after about 20 or 25 seconds, which can be killed similarly to how they were killed before, with the DPS tanking them and burning them down. He will do another dive plus slam phase, and then he will summon 4 more gyre spumes, signaling that there will be another tidal wave coming soon. You must, again, kill them as quickly as possible. Be a little bit more careful this time, because if you kill one at the same time you get hit with a double tidal roar, that's about 4,000 to 4,500 damage everyone will take in a pretty short amount of time. Additionally, 4 water spumes will spawn and tether to the center of the arena when you're about halfway done with the gyre spumes. They don't do anything for about 20 or 30 seconds, but in order to keep them under control, don't hit them at all. I even avoid using foes in this phase, or they start tethering to me or they start going to the healer. They just go all over the place, and you kind of want to keep them in the center so it's easy for what you're going to have to do later. Just focus on killing the gyre spumes, and at some point Leviathan will do a single spinning dive plus body slam. During spinning dive, a paladin should grab all 4 of the water spumes and pull them to Leviathan's head after he comes up for the body slam. Wait a second, then hit hollowed ground while everyone else tries to stay generally far away. When they explode, they will do about 1,500 to 2,000 damage to anyone close to them, but since you're the paladin who just hollowed ground, you're taking no damage. And they do less damage the farther away you are from them, so everybody else who is spread out far away from them should only take about 400 damage per spume, so anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 damage from them altogether, which is not bad at all. Shortly after this, the elemental converter will come online again. Same as last time, Leviathan will do spinning dive plus tidal wave plus body slam. Hit the converter just before tidal wave and ensure you have at least 30 conversion in order to survive. Dodge the body slam, and from this point on, you only have one worry left really. And that's the big final ad. The guy who cast Dreadwash and Dreadstorm, remember? Well, yeah, you can't have him do that now. Without the railings, if he successfully terrorizes anyone, they're going to walk right off the edge. So Dreadwash is really deadly at this point. We recommend using the DPS limit break on him just to be safe and ensure that he dies before he does anything. Realistically, you could still tank him near the edge and stun Dreadwash and then just move out of Dreadstorm if he casts it, DPS him as normal, and then save your limit break for Leviathan. This is going to depend entirely on how comfortable your group is with DPSing this big ad. The Wavetooth Sagin, remember. Just kill that ad, and from this point on, you have pretty much won, even though Leviathan's not dead yet. Just DPS the head and the tail, dodge a couple of last spinning dives and body slams, and as long as you have the DPS, you should be okay. I don't know if he does gyre spumes again, or if he starts summoning little ads again. We've never had him get to another point where he starts summoning Sagins or gyre spumes again, so I'm not entirely sure, but just be prepared in case you have to repeat any of those things again. You've already done it once before. There's no reason you can't do it again. Congratulations on your Leviathan kill. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more Final Fantasy XIV videos. Also, be sure to check out the rest of my channel. I got a bunch of videos there. Some Final Fantasy stuff, some Diablo stuff. I'm going to be adding more Diablo stuff in a little bit. Just general videos. Go check it out, you know. And be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. I would really appreciate that. You can ask me questions, pick my brain a little bit, and you can just get updates about when I'm posting guides like this one. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch. I do live stream Final Fantasy XIV. I do live stream, well, going to be live streaming some more Diablo 3 when I have more time. Also, stream Final Fantasy X HD, 10.2 HD. I like to just stream the games that I like to play. And hopefully you want to come along and have some fun. Also, if you guys are interested in watching the fight from beginning to end, click the link right there in the center. It's going to be me commenting over the kill, the same video you've been watching throughout this guide. I'm going to be commenting over it and giving you guys an idea of how we dealt with everything from start to finish. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.